Hello everyone, welcome to part 2, where we are going to rank all of the $1 million crowdfunding board games of 2023. These are the best of the best. These are what people spent their hard-earned money on, and we are now moving into the top upper echelon, the second half. If you missed the first half, we covered all the garbage campaigns, and honestly, a lot of them were. Sorry about it. Or at least garbage for me, because I don't play solo games. That's basically what it boiled down to if you wanted the too long didn't watch. But here we're going to cover all the games, and we're going to escalate the excitement so much in this episode, in this second half. I like doing this to sort of begin or end the year as a nice counterpoint to the 5 reasons you shouldn't back. And now I don't need to worry about playing devil's advocate. I just get to worry about playing the devil. The devil on your shoulder. So let's move along. Sorry, Townsfolk Tussle, you didn't make the list, but you're moving on to our number 18. Oh, but before we do, let's check in on how much money we've raised. Those previous 18 campaigns, or 21 campaigns, raised $44 million. I made a bet that it would beat $100 million by the end of the video. I'm hoping that Nemesis will help me out, but Nemesis is not. I'm hoping that one particular game will help me out. But we're starting off with number 18 in terms of games that I would personally back. This is sort of ranked in my own opinion of games that I would spend my money on and want to dive into that experience. And so we're starting off with number 18, Hero Realms Dungeons, which comes with a new 80-card market deck, 6 new characters, an all-new 12-encounter dungeon campaign for 1 to 5 players, coming in at $59 US. And the reason why it isn't higher, I like Hero Realms. I played it for the first time this year. I thought, man, this is such a slick deck builder because it's $20 and portable. And I think Hero Realms has fallen into that trap of you are very cheap and then everything you add I don't want, because I want the portability and the accessibility of just the one package that you gave. But this did really raise $1 million, just crossed that $1 million threshold under the wire. But the interesting part here is that it adds a cooperative mode. So Hero Realms, it was all about sort of punching each other in the face and whittling each other's health down. You can still do that, and they give you different characters that allow you to do that. But here there's also that sort of cooperative mode, which does get me excited. It kind of justifies that extra price point, that extra price bump. I think Hero Realms is pretty slick, and I think this feels like a decent addition. But after shipping and conversion for me in Canada, it's like a $100 game, and I just can't justify spending that much on something I could get for $20. So for me, it's, well, let's throw away the talk of cost here. I do that all the time. Let's focus just on the mechanics. And I think these were ranked just upon mechanics, right? They weren't ranked upon cost. They were ranked upon how fun is this game going to be? Because I think ultimately that is what matters, even though I bang the drum of cost a bajillion times over. Oh, I just took a look ahead at all the things that I have upcoming to talk about, and yeah, there are some exciting games happening here. I think for me, the core Hero Realms experience is very, very good. I think it made my sort of top 10 deck builders. I think it's a great experience, but I don't love it enough to want more. I love it because it is that sort of insular experience, and that's what sort of dampens my enthusiasm. But the strength of the IP and the strength of the system definitely has me interested, and I'm happy that it makes the top half of the year. Something else that makes top half of the year, this is a solo game. I wasn't expecting it to make it this far, but it does. We've got Final Girl Series 3. This is the 3rd iteration of Final Girl. It raised $1.8 million, bringing us up to $46.8 million raised, I think. I may already be off my count. But the fervor around Final Girl is very real. It's something people talk about a lot. People really enjoy it. And I think what I really appreciate or would be interested in trying about Final Girl is the accessibility, and is the fact that I think a lot of solo games are either really large in scope or really small. You've got sort of the button-shy card games that are small, that small scale, and Final Girl feels like that middle ground, right? It feels like a game that I would be satisfied with playing at the end of it, but not overstay its welcome. It feels like it hits in that really nice area, and sometimes it's just fun to chuck some dice and move some people around on a board, right? And kill a bad boy. It's based upon this feature film system. I like the idea of the feature film system as well, of getting to choose your killer and choosing your map, and having both of those things interact and affect. I like that they're all takes on different sort of horror genres. Dang, and they didn't get it for free, but it was close. You could have gotten a $5 pack, a $5 Christmas pack that would have arrived to you early, which is pretty neat, where you could take on Krampus. Yeah, it feels like a nice flow of purchasing new cards, cycling through the cards, and managing all these villagers. I like the idea of trying to keep these people alive so you can unlock your special ability. It just seems fun. Just seems like a fun game that I've never bought or had the desire to really purchase for myself based upon my own solo gaming or lack thereof. But it's had so many wonderful things said about it that, I don't know, kind of made me want to give it a shot. So that's why it's number 17, Final Girl Series 3, or just the Final Girl system in general. And speaking of systems that I like, number 16 is Zombicide, or DCeased, a Zombicide game. Raised $2.5 million, bringing us up to $49.3 million-ish, if I've remembered correctly. And the thing I will say about DCeased is that I think I am much more interested in it than Marvel Zombies. And that might be a hot take, but I believe this will be better than Marvel Zombies because it is their second iteration of the Marvel Zombies system, right? It's the same game, they've just had time to tweak it to make all those little things that were annoying in Marvel Zombies better. That being said, it's still Zombicide, right? So if you have Zombicide in your life, or you have Zombicide type games like Massive Darkness 2, which is incredible, how much is it really going to get played? On the other side of things, Zombicide is just fun. It's just a fun game. You know, it's nothing, it's not going to break anyone's brain. It's not going to break anyone's top charts. It's a beer and popcorn and pretzels and candy floss style of game. It's just tasty. It's just fun to chuck dice and move the little zombies around and run around the board. And I like that there's only this one box. I mean, if you don't look at the Omega Pledge, it's only this one pledge. I like that better than Marvel Zombies. I didn't really want to play as the zombie. I wanted to play as the heroes. And here you kind of start that way as well, which makes me feel vindicated that that is the better way to play. I like the changes that they made to the bystanders here, that the bystanders sort of act as your buff, right? They act as what you got in. They act as those abilities that you had to eat people for in Marvel Zombies. I don't know. It just seems a little bit more streamlined and simple. And yeah, looking at this, I'm feeling like I want it, you know? Even though I wouldn't play it that much, I think it would be a lot of fun. So this is our number 16, DCeased Zombicide game. Definitely worthwhile of being in the top half, but still in that sort of supplemental category that it doesn't break top 10. Speaking of supplemental categories, we're on number 15, more Terraforming Mars, which raised $2.2 million. We're at $51.5 million now, and this is just Prelude 2. It has an Automa, if you're a solo gamer, a more fully robust solo experience than the solo that Terraforming Mars used to offer, but it has Prelude 2, which is just more Prelude cards. Yeah. But what also is really fun is it has the Awards and Milestones expansion. The Awards and Milestones, they took this from Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, and they basically just give you tokens so that you can randomize the Awards and Milestones. So it can give you even more variability to your game. And I think that's great, right? They used to be just confined to the different boards, and having that aspect makes the different boards much more inconsequential. And I love that idea. I think this is really fun and exciting, and a great idea that they took from Ares Expedition. But yeah, it's Terraforming Mars. I'll admit it, I also like Prelude, okay? I like Terraforming Mars a bunch. Just thinking about it makes me want to play it again. And so that's why it's number 15, because it's something for a game that I already quite enjoy. Even when we were organizing our shelves the other day, Renee said, well, I can't put Terraforming Mars in the corner. I said, you hate Terraforming Mars. She's like, yeah, I know, but it deserves some respect, you know? And that's kind of what I feel about this. I'm like, yeah, Prelude 2, it's Prelude. Prelude was good. No wonder they called it Prelude 2, because it's going to be equally good. So it makes our number 15. And it separates the two Zombicides with number 14, Zombicide White Death. I thought DCeased and Zombicide White Death would be back-to-back because I feel pretty much equal between the two. But I like the Black Plague system a little bit more. I've played Zombicide White Death. I got a chance to play the prototype version. I did a little video about the differences between Green Horde and Black Plague versus White Death as well. And the changes here are fun. I do like that if anybody dies, the game's over. I like this idea of this plague that just like creeps through and pushes, and it made it very challenging when we played. I also like that the price was $20 cheaper for probably a better game because you don't have to pay the IP tax. And I like this medieval fantasy land. I know people didn't like the sort of mishmashing of characters, but I like it. I like an anthropomorphic tiger in samurai armor, okay? I'm a simple boy. That's what I like. I think the style here is pretty fun, and I think this is closer to Black Plague, which I already know I enjoy, and I don't think you need to mess with a great system, and this doesn't mess with a great system while making some nice little tweaks to it. So that was our number 14. This raised $3.8 million. I don't know if Come would have been happy about that. It was sort of like the revitalization of Zombicide, right? DCeased came out a little bit later, but 3.8 is still pretty good. Green Horde pulled like 5 million way back in the day, though, so I think they were probably hoping to hit more along those lines. But still, I think for those who don't have Zombicide and are interested in getting like a Kickstarter, getting Zombicide White Death would have been great. I don't know if you can late pledge for this. Doesn't seem like you can. Since the Pledge Manager is closed, so Pledge Manager closed in mid-September. That makes sense because generally for Come it takes them, well, if you want to pay attention to Trudvang, 5 years to deliver your product. But yeah, I mean, it's Zombicide. And Come Kickstarters are generally good value, and I think this one was decent value as well, depending on what shipping was, a bit different. Moving along to number 13, though, it similar dudes on a map. Well, this isn't dudes on a map, but similar zombies on a map, baddies on a map swarming you. I don't know. It's Deep Rock Galactic, the expansions to Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic was super high on my list when it first came out. I think it was like number 3 on that year's $1 million campaign wrap up. This one raised 2.2 million euros, which is actually like 2.4 US. I was doing it an equal conversion for the past one. So we're sitting at 57.7. That's our number 12. I think the count might have been off. Clearly, I don't take my job very seriously. But Deep Rock looked really good, and I think it still looks good. The expansions also were ones that I thought, these are going to be dumb. And then looking at them, I said, okay, they seem fun and they feel like they add stuff to the game, right? It gives you a bunch of different maps, different ways to play. I thought they were going to be just fake in order to do a new reprint campaign because Kickstarter always wants you to add new stuff. But they felt maybe reasonable. I mean, it's still like so expensive. But if we're not thinking about price, I think the bones of this game look pretty fun. I really like what you can do on your turn. You have a bunch of different options of what you can do on your turn, and all of those things feel fun and feel a little bit more varied than something like Zombicide. So it's kind of like taking Zombicide and then moving it to the next level. That's why it's our number 12. Let's move on to number 11, just shy of the top 10. This is our last campaign game that we're going to cover, and this is the Tanares Adventure Ultimate Edition. This is a reprint of Tanares Adventures. It raised $1.5 million, putting us at 59.2. Oh, I got 10 campaigns to make $40 million. I don't know if that's going to happen. I might have been off. But out of the campaign games that raised over $1 million last year, Tanares is my top. It's the one I'm the most interested in. And it couldn't make my top 10 because I'm not going to play them. I'm still waiting for Iridia to deliver, and I'm going to play that one and the other games that I have. I'm not allowed to play any other campaign games or get any other campaign games until all campaign games are finished. At least that's what I said to myself before I got Assassin's Creed. But the reason why Tanares has sort of soared up to the top is because in this revamp, they've kind of thrown away their skirmish idea and have gone whole hog into the scenarios and the campaign. And I think that feels like the right call. This campaign felt a lot less confusing than the first one. It felt a lot more accessible. Yeah, no need to use multiple books to follow it anymore, right? Like it felt very everything in the kitchen sink before, and I feel now it feels streamlined into its best bits. And so that was exciting for me. It also has a standee version to cut down on the minis, which is great. It also has this cool idea that you're going to be managing 4 characters each time, and there's 8 different classes that you can consider. So at least I certainly hope that's this game, or else it has moved up unnecessarily. It has a chart that is actually helpful to backers in 2 different modes. But yeah, I also feel like the AI system in it feels very simple to manage as well. The AI kind of just targets whoever, I think it's whoever's the lowest health, and they just go towards that person. I think that's it. It's something where you can really cheese the system a lot, where if you're standing next to someone and the logical thing would be that the minion attacks you, they just go, nope, I want to attack that person over there. And I like that aspect of it because to me it makes it feel more like a puzzle. When there's a system that you can take advantage of, it's not thematic, it's not as thematic, but it makes it a little bit more tactical, in my opinion, and strategic. And that's what I want in my game. Yeah, it's got an abysmal gameplay section, so I can't show you anymore. I'm not sure where the rulebook was on this page, but yeah, I remember thinking this one looked cool. Not cool enough to get me to pull the trigger, by no means, but still looked pretty cool. So that's our number 11, Tanares Adventures. Moving on to our number 10. This is the top 10. We've reached the top 10 of the best board game campaigns from the last year. Number 10 is Dice Throne X-Men. And the Marvel Missions co-op is also here, and Deadpool's also here. Don't care about those last 2. Although I think the Marvel Missions co-op, if you're interested, is a good value. I don't think it looks that exciting. I would much rather just play the Dice Throne that I know and love with more characters that I know and love. It's number 10 because I'm not getting it, because I have too many Dice Throne characters already, but I think Dice Throne is a really, really fun system. Renee would disagree. She also thinks that the box art is too busy. I guess she doesn't like cool cartoon characters because now they're all hidden away. Sorry, Manny, I don't have a say of it. But I think the art is cool. This is a game that, unfortunately, I really wanted my girlfriend to be able to like and enjoy so that she could play with me a ton. She didn't, but I think it is a really fun 2-player game. Ignore the 2 to 6. It's a 2-player game. And I think all these characters are going to be also unique and fun. I just don't need more. But my love for Dice Throne pushes it up. And the fact that this actually gives you new content makes it stand out rather than something like Food Chain Magnate, which doesn't give you new content. It's just like a reprint, right? Like this is new content that I'm going to want to try at some point, but no longer have room on my shelves for more than 16 characters of Dice Throne. I've got 16. I'm tapped out for now. So that's our number 10. And that raised $4.2 million. There we go. That is the average that we need to hit my goal. We're sitting at 63.4 right now. I don't know if we're going to do it, but we'll see. Number 9 potentially has no reason to be here because objectively, let's change that to US 1.16. Objectively, I don't remember enough about this game from when I read through the rules like 2 and a bit years ago, but there's something about it that still pulls me in. And that's Scarface 1920. And this is one of those games where this is an interesting thing that is so far up on the list. I don't think it has a right being. I think it is relying upon past Chris's FOMO before I learned how to recognize what FOMO was. I think I'm reliving that experience. And it's an interesting mental thing in this space where we want to buy. I don't really remember mechanically why I wanted to do it. And I think I still would want to do it. I know I've heard that it becomes a little bit long, but I don't care about that. I know that it's area control and that it's also deck building. And I like both of those 2 things. I like the theme a lot. I like the manipulation of the time track, that every time you go through your deck, you move the time track a little bit, which then pushes the pace of the game. I like that as a memorable mechanic. See, I got something going on up here from when I read it. I don't mind this expansion, this little business track. I remember when I looked at it first, I thought it was stupid, and then I read through the rules and thought that it adds some interesting value to spaces on the map. But I think objectively this is too high, and yet I wouldn't want it lower. Like, I want to play this game, and as soon as I play this game, maybe it'll suck. Maybe it'll suck and it'll go shooting down. I'll be like, why did I waste the last 2 years of my life pining over it? I mean, I haven't, but maybe I'll end up feeling that when it happens. But my enthusiasm wasn't enough to pull the trigger on it after conversion and ship. I think my enthusiasm for the game is going to be significant, but because I haven't played it and I've heard mixed things, my excitement for it is still high, but there's no guarantee that it would be super high. And honestly, now after just reorganizing my shelves, I know this box is too big. I know it's too big for the type of game that it is. I think it's going to fall into that Dwellings of Eldervale territory, and I think I want the smaller version. But currently it's at number 9. Also really making me take a hit, because at that $1.1 million raised, I'm going to say it's 1.2. We're sitting at $64.6 million raised by the board gaming industry last year from the highest grossing campaigns. And we're moving along to my personal number 8, things that I was interested in, want to play. And that's Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the board game. $3.55 million US raised. Let's pad the numbers even more. Call it 3.6. We're at $68.2 million. And Monster Hunter Iceborne looks like more of the same of Monster Hunter World, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Monster Hunter World. I think in terms of boss battlers, I enjoyed it significantly more than I did Townsfolk Tussle, and I think playing Monster Hunter World made me realize the mechanics that I wish were in Townsfolk Tussle actually kind of are in the world. The developing system of your gear, the managing your stamina is fun. The monsters feel challenging but not too hard. I like the little mini stories that you get to go through. There's a bit of a grind that happens as you play the same monster over and over in that sort of roguelite experience, trying to harvest it for parts. You can skip that if you want to and just play each as an individual scenario. I wouldn't recommend those scenarios because it feels better to build up your own characters. And the pre-made scenario, the only pre-made scenario that I tried was for the biggest, baddest monster out there. And it gave me a bunch of items that were useless against it. And I thought that was really stupid in terms of building a pre-built scenario. It's like, great, I've got this fire helmet, off to go fight the snow dragon. Like, why would I? Oh, I'm gonna try to go track down the snow dragon. Let me equip this poison resistance. Ridiculous, just ridiculous. But I think it's a really good system, and I think what's kind of fun is in this one you can have double the monsters and they can fight each other. So you can have that sort of tactical pullbacks that the monster goes and punches the other monster in the face, and I think that addition seems cool. Core box only pledged 65 pounds. That's like 100 US. That actually feels reasonable, more reasonable than Horizon Zero Dawn. And I think the sculpts in Monster Hunter World, the first one, were really, really good. So all of that contributed to me being interested in this. This definitely makes my top 10. Number 8, in fact, of games that I would be very happy to play. Now we're getting into the real excitement avenue here. You know that song? Come on to Excitement Avenue. I think that was the words. Number 7 is Cyclades, the Legendary Edition. I've played Inish, I've played Kemet, I haven't played Cyclades, but this feels very fun. This is something that I definitely want to play at some point. I love that there was a meeple pledge on this. If you didn't want to get the big old chunky expensive miniatures, you could save yourself 40 euros, which is really nice. And I like area control game. A territory control game with an ever-changing setup thanks to modular board tiles. I love modular boards. It's nice that there's an enhanced and improved 2-player mode, although I still imagine that probably wouldn't be fun. But what I'm really excited about is the modular game board and the 6 gods. The gods will be listed in sort of an order, and you get to pick which god you want to influence, and that chooses what you get to do on your turn. You're going to want to build fortresses and universities and ports and different choke points around the game, and like Inish, there's a number of different victory conditions that you can trigger. And of course, that's just a lie, but you need to control 3 metropolises, but the way you can get those metropolis are different. You know, there's a lot of varied ways where you can get to that end game goal, and so I kind of consider that the same, because you're going for a varied strategy, right? Like, if I'm going economics, I might be able to scooch in a little military conquest there, but generally my engine is probably skewed more towards economics. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. I've never played it. I really like modular boards, though, and everything about this game seems exciting to me, and it's been lauded in the same breath as Kemet and Inish, and both of those games are really great. So I know I would enjoy playing this. I love that you're bidding on the gods and bidding upon like the different actions you get to take. And because of that, the actions that you take are so varied. Just I can see the complexities of this game, and I can see the intricacies of it, and that gets me pretty stoked. So it's number 7. Maybe this should be higher, honestly, thinking about how excited I am about it. Maybe it should be number 6. But number 6, how much did this raise? Did we factor that in? I think this just crossed the $1 million threshold. We got 1.1 million euros. So let's make that 1.3 US. 69.5 with 6 to go. I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know if we're going to make it. In fact, I think we're guaranteed not going to make it. I wonder if we can make 80. Now that's my new goal. My new goal is 80. I'm changing it. We'll see how high we can get. But number 6 is Kelp. Shark versus Octopus, a 2-player asymmetrical game. Now this is a caveat. It's a caveat here, again, because I'm focusing just upon gameplay and not upon crowdfunding. This was another campaign that apparently did that stupid, hey, pay $1 before the campaign even starts to get something special, which I hate. It's a practice that I absolutely hate in crowdfunding, and I'd like to condemn it unequivocally, but I think this game looks fun. I think it looks too expensive for what it is, but I still think it looks fun. And if we're only focusing on the fun factor, it's pretty friggin' high, because I think the asymmetry in this game and the back and forth is going to feel really good. If you were looking at Kelp and you were like, man, I want that sort of outthinky game, I really recommend checking out Run by Fowers Games. This is a hidden movement cat and mouse game that I'm just like, I've been really enjoying lately. It's kind of been kind of a standout, but this one looks really neat. I like the systems that both of the sides get to do, specifically the shark getting to roll and move and build additional dice aspects. You can see all those sort of blue dice on the board. Maybe you can. And the shark will be moving and creating a network of like flow between them and like developing, learning the slipstreams of the ocean and then trying to hunt the octopus. And the octopus is playing these like chonky tiles that can be swapped around or revealed to activate special abilities. I think the back and forth here is so often in 2-player asymmetrical games, you need to feel really great about your own part of things, and it needs to be as fun as the other thing. And I think it's gonna manage that. I think it's gonna be a satisfying, quick game to play. I love the art. Okay, although it says it's a pajama shark, which can only get to be 2.5 feet. You think that's gonna take down this octopus? I don't think so. Only 2.5 feet? That is a small shark, okay? That is a very small shark that the octopus is just gonna wreck and slurp up for dinner. But yeah, I think this looks quite good. I think mechanically it looks really sound. And pretty fun, and one that would be easy to table and that a lot of people would get a great deal of enjoyment from. So 1.4 million euro, let's go with 1.5 US, putting us at $71 million raised going into the final 5. Yeah, I just think this one looks really delightful, and I'm regretting that I didn't have time to cover it because they reached out for me to cover it and I just didn't get a chance. But I think it does look really neat. And I hope everybody who gets it enjoys it. I hope it lands that well as well. On to the final 5. All right, we made it to the top 5. Number 5, Critter Kitchen. Don't worry, Cardboard Alchemy. You made it in the top half and the bottom half. You're a top and a bottom. 1 to 5 players compete to gather ingredients, meet challenges, and serve a food critic in the bustling town of Bistro Bay. Yeah, I think this one looks really fun. This is from the same studio that did Andromeda's Edge, but also Flamecraft, and you can see the art style. I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this, just like a lot of people resonated with Flamecraft. It looks to be around the same weight as Flamecraft as well. And what's really exciting about this one is that you have 3 different levels of worker. You have a boar who can pick up like 3 resources, but they'll activate last. And so you have a middle ground who gets 2, but activates second. And then you have a really quick, wiry little thing that'll run out and get the 1 resource of your choice, but it only gets 1. So ideally, you want to send your boar to a location that gets you the majority, that gets you all the resources, right? And you want to predict where other people are going to send their boars, so you can send, just the one a little bit higher. I think that tension is going to be really nice, and then it'll just be collecting resources and fulfilling contracts. I think it looks solid. I think the standard edition at $40 feels pretty good. Also, but just like get your local store to do it. And like Flamecraft, similar price. It was $80 for the deluxe. The deluxe felt like it also added a ton of stuff as well, but also stuff that you don't necessarily need, but it gave you like a really good quality. I remember scrolling through this and thinking like, oh yeah, that's probably deluxe. No, now here's the deluxe just with all these little Anna meeples and like upgraded quality coins and wooden tokens, a ton of tokens. Like, I think you really do get your value here with with both of these options, and I think both look really good. It was a definite easy 5. I think my top 5 were pretty easy. Like, I think getting into this area, you start to get games where I was like, okay, that's obvious, that's obvious, that's obvious. And Critter Kitchen was one that I was happy broke that $1 million, just crossed the $1 million threshold as they finish it off. It was enough to not get a 5 reasons you shouldn't back because it was too late, but also enough to be included on this list. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You don't want mean old Chris coming for you. You want excited Chris coming for you. And now I don't have to come up with reasons not to get this. But number 1 would have been probably cheaper at retail. Although I do think you get a lot of really nice value out of both pledges. So, and that's not something you will always see. So because of that, and solid, easy basics of gameplay, great art direction, I think this one's going to be a very similar hit as Flamecraft. And yeah, definitely we'll check it out at some point in time. Moving along to number 4. Number 4 is Santorini, the Co-op and Deluxe Pantheon Edition. Now, I have to caveat this. I didn't like the co-op version. I thought it was a baby game for babies, and I didn't really, but I just didn't think it was that challenging. That is also the reason why my video review of this did not end up on the campaign page, because I didn't really like the co-op edition, which is what they're bringing. However, Santorini, I do like. I do like that they're coming with this awesome new edition. And I have been wanting to just get Santorini for a long time. Santorini is a really solid 2-player abstract game that I cannot wait to get a copy of. I don't know if they're sending me one or not. Usually they'll send you one if you review it, but you know, they didn't put it up on the page, so maybe I won't get one. I don't know. Even still, if I don't, it's one that I've been looking for to get at a reasonable price on the secondary market. The only thing about this is that it feels very expensive compared to Santorini's other price, but that doesn't matter in this series, because what matters is excitement. Santorini is something that I really, really enjoy, and it's just such a slick 2-player abstract game. It is. And even the solo co-op mode was fine. It was fun. It's just a solo mode. They build it as a co-op mode, and I just vehemently disagree that you can play it cooperatively with someone. I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. I think it is a solo game, and as somebody who doesn't play a lot of solo games, it felt like it just didn't capture the fun that the intense abstract head-to-head battle can. And so maybe it's because it didn't hit my excitement level that it kind of skewed me a bit. But I'm just excited for all of these new revamped God cards and a nice big old box to put my stuff in. Oh, and the Golden Fleece. I know that the Golden Fleece was an original expansion that wasn't in some copies, so I guess it's in this one too. Like, it's everything that is in Santorini plus this little addition. Unlocking power exploration like Overcooked video game? No, you don't even unlock powers in Overcooked, okay? Get out of here. But yeah, Santorini's a great game. Highly recommend. I guess if I'm just basing it off the merits of the co-op, probably could be lower, but I don't care. Like, the fact that the co-op doesn't even matter whatsoever for me, and it's still number 4 on my list, should tell you how good a game this is. So moving along to number 3. Number 3 is Fractured Sky. This could be number 2. It's number 3. It's on my shelf right here. I've got the prototype. I stole the prototype of the retail version of Fractured Sky. So it doesn't have all the fancy magnetic ship minis and magnetic buildings and whatever. And, I mean, looking at them, I regret, but this is something that I'm never getting rid of. I'm keeping this prototype, and they've got to pry it from my cold, dead hands if they want to get it back. It's so good. This is such a great game. My only qualms when it came about, I can't stop from being devil's advocate. I just can't. But my only qualms from when it came about is that I was really hoping that the retail edition, which is basically what I have the retail prototype, would have been $10 to $20 cheaper. It's just like cardboard. It's like good quality cardboard, but it's really just like cardboard in here, like little cardboard chits. And if they could have found a way to make it like super cheap, like at the $39, I would have even accepted the $39. You know, I wanted $29, but then I'd accept $39. The fact that it's $49, it's just like after conversion and shipping, it still makes it to be a lot for like a really pared down version of the retail game. The deluxe edition with these ships, I've also played with this version. Like, the magnets on the ship is very satisfying. Completely unnecessary. Like most of IV Studios, like, deluxeifications, just completely unnecessary, but fun. They elevate the fun factor. Fractured Sky is a great bluffing game where you're sort of sending your ships out, but nobody knows the strength of them. You're going to send out 3 total ships, and their strength is going to add up to 10 total, and you're going to known places that have points and other places that may have points, or they may just get you resources. And so juggling your ships around and outbidding someone and making them think that you're bidding a lot in one area when you're not is just so fun and so satisfying. That's pretty cool. It goes a total of 32,688 backers between all of our games. It's great. Hey, look at that. Seal of Distinction. Room and board right there. I didn't know that they put that on there. Yeah, I gave Veiled Fate a Seal of Distinction. I'd give Fractured Sky a Seal of Distinction. I think I don't know if I rated it because it was a prototype, and I don't like often rate these, but it's a fantastic game. I have yet to play Moonrakers, and I've yet to play Mythic Mischief, but I do know that there is going to be a Veiled Fate expansion coming out, and I'm going to get to try that out, I think, when I go to level up, and I'm very excited. I played Veiled Fate again. I played Veiled Fate on New Year's Day. It was part of our New Year's Day sort of fair, because there were 6 of us, and it's one of those games, I swear I'm going to do this list at some point in time of games whose player count is great, and Veiled Fate is going to be number 1 on that list. 2 to 8 plays fantastic at pretty much all of those player counts. Depends on what you're looking for, but a social deduction game that can play incredible at 2 to 8 players and actually works is just so good. Fractured Sky plays from 1 to 5 players. I haven't played it with 2 players, I don't think. I would probably want to play it with more, but then again, it might actually work really well with 2 players. I don't ever count the solo, because if I haven't made that very clear, I don't really play solo games. But yeah, Fractured Sky was just a friggin' joy to play. Really, really fun. And IV Studios, I mean, they rarely miss. At least the 2 that I've played haven't missed, and I only imagine when I play Moonrakers, because my friend has it. When I play Mythic Mischief, just talking about how much I like Santorini, I imagine those won't miss as well. Moon Rollers was fun. It was good as a light fare. I've played that. But yeah, really, really enjoyed Fractured Sky. If you like Raw, it gives a similar feeling. I think Raw might edge it out just a little bit, but they both give a similar feeling, and I'd be very happy to play both. So that's our number 3. It also adds 1.18. Let's call it 1.2. I'm pumping the numbers up, which brings us to $74.8 million raised with only 2 campaigns to go. We are not crossing that $100 million threshold, but we'll see how far we get. Number 2 is going to be, if you've been keeping track, you probably know, or if you've been keeping track, I've forgotten one. The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. It's currently sitting at 4.6. What's the original campaign? 4.6. Look at that. Maybe it doesn't add the additional stuff on. Maybe it only adds it if it's Awakened Realms, because they want to pump up their own numbers. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, the Elder Scrolls is one that I think is going to be great. This is Chip Theory Games. Adds another 4.6 to our tally. Let's make it 4.7. And I got to demo this back. Well, I got to see it twice, actually. I got to demo it back at Dice Tower West, and I got to see it again when I was at PAX Unplugged, and just saw that, like, a couple of things had changed, but nothing that feels too significant from, like, my perspective. I always knew that there would be development process. I always knew that some of the things that I tried back in Dice Tower West, like, wouldn't exist. And so when they're like, yeah, that doesn't exist, that wasn't surprising to me. Elder Scrolls, I think, is going to be better than Too Many Bones. I wasn't sure about it, and then I've been playing more Too Many Bones because I got to put out a review of Unbreakable. And Unbreakable is kind of cooling me on the Too Many Bones system, whereas Elder Scrolls, I think the exploration system will be more to my liking, maybe a little bit more exciting. You're going to have your character, and you're going to have your skill line, and those are going to be 2 different things you mix and match. And then you have these different stats where if this shield stat is at 6, then this stat, which is the, I don't know, react attack, it can be at 0, right? So that's the sort of scale and the balance that you have to weather. And then you also have this cooldown track with your dice. You're going to roll dice, but every time you do, sometimes you get, like, exhausted, and you put stamina cubes in, which will block up your cooldown. If you can get rid of those, then you can accelerate your cooldown and then have your dice keep on rotating and rotating. But for your main attacks, you're going to have to like back up and attack again. Kind of like the video game, right? Definitely not Skyrim. This is going to be so much better than Skyrim. You get free shipping. There was that conversation. It doesn't matter. Free shipping or shipping cost doesn't matter when you evaluate things based upon their total cost. Suddenly that whole conversation becomes moot. Really, because you're used to factoring in shipping into your cost, and so you're used to thinking about things as costing you the amount. And then you're able to make that decision of, hey, did this thing feel like it was worth the amount that I spent on it? If it's a yes, fantastic. If it's a no, you screwed up. You done screwed up. What I do like about this too is that it'll be maybe a little bit better for setup. I mean, it's going to be fiddly, right? There's going to be so many things, but I do like that the chips are double-sided and that they're going to be drawn out of a bag. Like there's bags for like level 1 baddies, right? Or level 5 baddies. I call them baddies because it's basically the same as Too Many Bones, except you're just on a larger mat. And so the maneuverability is also a little bit more interesting than just, hey, I'm a ranged attack. I can hit everyone all the time. So yeah, I'm really high up on this. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger is because it was so expensive. I mean, Chip Theory is naturally so expensive. This was even more so. It was sitting at $230, which conversion is like 300 Canadian. Actually, let's see, what is it exactly? 314 or 266 for the base bundle. And that just felt like a lot of money. It did. Yeah, it's a hefty price tag, but when you factor it in compared to like a lot of the other campaigns that are here, not that I'm telling you to spend money, but I think it's worth factoring in. So Tanares was $129 to its $180, right? And then you also have to pay shipping for the Tanares standard pledge, which we don't know what it costs. So Tanares Ultimate is $50, right? So we'll go Tanares Adventures Essential Gameplay, $189 plus 50 is sitting at $230. It's equal to the Elder Scroll. And so for a lot of those things, I think the shipping not being free, I think they could have knocked off $25 and then just said to everybody, hey, it's $25 shipping. Oh, and then people would have been like, well, it's only $205. Make it $36 shipping. That's what you should do. Make it $31 shipping so you can put it that $199 all-in bundle, and for sure they would have sold double. They would have sold double because people don't factor in shipping because you're fools. But yeah, I played this and thought the flow was really fun. I like the movement on the maps. I think if you like Too Many Bones, but you wanted to like delve into a dungeon, that's the part that got me the most excited. It's a very similar flow, but I think I like this better. And I might be saying that it's a similar flow of Too Many Bones. And one of my points in the 5 reasons was it's not Too Many Bones 2.0. And that is true. I mean similar flow in terms of like you're going, the campaign structure, right? A session structure. You're going on a campaign. You're going to encounter some people. You're going to walk somewhere else. You're going to encounter some more people, right? But I think those encounters are inherently going to be better and more interesting than Too Many Bones. You heard it here first. Or maybe you heard it here 7th. I don't know. Lots of people covered it. This one comes in at 4.6. We're at $79.5 million US, which, hey, if we're in Canadian, we've already crossed our 100 million amount. So I'm going to pretend I was thinking Canadian, but we've got one last thing to see how far we can get up. One last campaign, and it probably shouldn't come as a surprise if you are familiar with this channel, or if you even saw my video about it, because I couldn't contain my glee, and I said, well, I'm backing this. And that's usually what, which one ends up being number one is the one that I end up backing. Last year was Cthulhu Death May Die. I thought, you know what, I haven't played Death May Die. Seems like a great time to jump into the system. I was very excited for it, was backing it. The first year it was Iridia. I would have backed it in a late pledge, but I managed to win it in a Board Game Geek contest that I'm still infinitely excited for. And this one is no different for the sheer fact of making sure that it is number one. That solidifies that the excitement is genuine. If you're going to do a list like this, how many have you backed? How many on the list? Like, when does that excitement hit peak? For me, I am adequately excited and to warrant this pledge we have Nemesis Retaliation that raised $12.1 million. Did it really, or are you bumping up the numbers again? Yeah, over $12 million funded. They didn't bump it up. There we go. $12.18 million. Unfortunately, it did not beat Frosthaven's $12.9 million or Kingdom Death Monsters $12.39 million, but still pretty good. $12.183 million, which I'm going to call 12.2, bringing our total tally $91.7 million US raised for all of the campaigns that raised over $1 million on crowdfunding in 2023. Nemesis, I'm very excited for. I am purchasing this for my friend Zach, who has been on this channel a bunch. We have a whole hour-long discussion about the differences between Nemesis and Nemesis Lockdown. We've got a playthrough of Nemesis Lockdown. We really like Nemesis a lot. Zach bought it first and introduced me to Awakened Realms. He said, yeah, I bought this thing. It looks really cool. And then we played it, and I was like, man, this is great. I want everything that Awakened Realms produces from here on out. And I think a lot of people went through that feeling as well. I love, again, that they're doing a standee version of this, that the standee version is so affordable as well, $65 if you didn't want the monster minis. For me, I'm getting Nemesis with the Zyrians, the Sangrivores, and the Support Squad expansion. You can see the top three. Yeah, they're the top three for a reason, because people can't stay away. Arguably, don't need any of them, because you probably won't need the different races ever. But that's what I'm getting for Zach. And I'm pretending that I'm getting it for Zach, when really I'm getting it for me, and Zach's going to be forced to store it at his house, and then I'm going to go over and play it anytime I want. So I suckered him. I suckered him by making him think I was doing a nice thing. And instead, pow! Actually, it's selfish. Yeah, this is a new take on Nemesis, but it's still Nemesis, you know? No, it's going to be different. It is going to be different. And I think that's important to recognize and remember. This one is going to be more of a fighty thing, but what I really am looking forward to in this is the modular board, because I like a modular board. I like the little hallways where things are going to spawn, and even though this goes against everything I ever want to see on a crowdfunding campaign page, because it has no rule book, you foolish fools, it's off the backs of such a strong IP that what else could be number one? Really, there's not much else for me that could be. I guess I haven't officially rated it yet. Maybe I'll do a review of Retaliation, I guess, so you can add your own seal of distinction to the laurels, like IB Games. Yeah, this one looks like it's going to be great. I think it's got a really good price for what you're getting. Even though they did cut some corners. And I just think it's going to be a barrel of fun. It's the modular board that I'm the most looking forward to, though. And it's shaking up the system as well. I hope it does exactly what it's setting out to do, to feel different, but still in that same way. So there we go. $91.7 million spent on board games. Spent on 38 campaigns. I was close. I thought with Nemesis we might get to push over the edge. I wasn't expecting so many campaigns to have just limped over the $1 million line. Like, if we cut those out and we only took the campaigns that raised like 2+, right? We would have a much shorter list. But a couple of heavy hitters in there, you know, helped us almost get to 100+. I thought that was ambitious, but I wanted to see it happen just for the story. But yeah, board games are alive and well, it seems. I'm wondering, how many of these campaigns did you end up backing? How many of these FOMO machines got your wallet? And I really like doing this list. I like looking back and looking at the differences of excitement, right? Like, my excitement for Nemesis compared to anything sort of Cyclades and below, Monster Hunter World and below, top 10 dice thrown, you know? Scarface is in there, so I don't know, is very distinct. And maybe it's because I've looked at a lot of campaigns now. I look at a big box campaign, I don't get suckered in like I used to, because believe me, I used to. My All-In Pledge of Etherfields up above me is proof of that. But I really like it. I really like having this as a retrospective and feeling the difference in my core, feeling the absolute apathy for Ravaged Star and stuff at the beginning, and then feeling the anticipation of getting a nice new little treat. So let me know what sort of little treats you've got yourself coming. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Chris George. I don't know catchphrase, but stay tuned to Room and Board 2024, because I'm about to be president, baby. yeah, and everybody just make an alt account and subscribe again if you haven't. Just do it. Let's get these numbers up. I want to hit 20K. No, thanks everybody for being here, and I'm looking forward to another fun year of crowdfunding and smacking you around when your excitement gets out of control. You know what you do when you get excited? You take a big old phone book and you smack it down so nobody sees. I'll see you later. Words to live by.